Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a deeply emotional, highly visual narrative called The Weight of a Fallen Kite. Our goal here is to really immerse you in a story of profound contrasts. We're looking at what happens when the pure, weightless joy of childhood literally collides with the harsh, unforgiving reality of human borders. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, we're actually going to hook our attention right at the end of the story with this incredibly haunting visual. Picture a vibrant, colorful kite. Its paper is torn, and it's just hopelessly trapped in this sharp, rusted barbed wire under the cold glare of military floodlights. You kind of have to ask yourself, how does something that represents so much joy and freedom end up tangled in something so rigid and dangerous? Well, to figure that out, we need to rewind and look at the world this kite was born into.
Now, what's really crucial to grasp here is how the author uses a core visual contrast to drive the entire tragedy. It's a collision of two completely different worlds. On one hand, you have the kite. It's crafted from scraps of colored paper, and it represents flight, laughter, and that pure, unfiltered childhood joy. And then right up against it, you have the border, cracked earth, rusted wire, cold military scopes, and just a suffocating silence. These two forces are on a direct collision course.
So, starting our narrative slowly, we look at a deeply impoverished family living in what you might call the forgotten borderlands. They live in this tiny mud house that's practically leaning against time itself. The father leaves before sunrise every single day for grueling manual labor, his hands totally rough from carrying stones. But here's the thing, despite this extreme poverty, there's so much love here. His absolute greatest joy is giving his kids a reason to smile, like this handmade kite, stitched so lovingly together from broken sticks and whatever paper scraps he could find.
Notice this moment. Right before heading out for work, the father smiles at his son who's holding this new toy. He gently touches the kite and says, "Don't let it fly too far." Now, the little boy just laughs, completely innocent, but as we'll see, he has absolutely no concept of the heavy, cruel reality those simple words are going to carry by the time the sun sets. It is a devastating piece of foreshadowing.
Let's look at how the pacing builds here as the day progresses. The heavy morning labor transitions into this really idyllic, carefree afternoon. The brother and sister are just running barefoot across an open field. And for a brief moment, the poverty, the borders, they literally cease to exist. There is only laughter. But then, the wind betrays them. A sudden gust sweeps across the plains, and snap. The fragile thread breaks, and just like that, the safety vanishes. So the colorful kite starts spinning wildly, drifting straight toward the forbidden zone. And the boy, totally shielded by the absolute innocence of play, just runs after it. He completely ignores the harsh warnings of the adult world. He's running blindly past these rusted signs buried in the dirt that read, "Danger, border area." To him, he's just a barefoot kid chasing his favorite toy, totally unaware of the deadly lines drawn across the earth.
It's really important to look at how the source text specifically defines this border. It's not just a political line on a map. It's described almost like a physical wound. Tall fences wrapped in sharp barbed wire, stretching endlessly across the land like scars dividing humanity itself. It stands in stark, silent contrast to the open, free sky where that kite was just flying moments ago.
And here is the exact moment the innocence fractures in our story. As the kite lands on the other side of the wire, we see this brilliant, heartbreaking comparison. The boy, he doesn't understand fear yet. His vision is totally tunneled. He only sees his kite. But his sister, her innocence shatters first. She recognizes the danger. She stands there, frozen, terrified to move any closer, paralyzed by reality, while she watches her brother literally reach for joy. I really want you to feel the pacing drop to an absolute dead stop right here. A heavy, terrifying silence falls over the borderland. The wind just dies down, and way out in the distance, hidden in the landscape, is a lonely military watchtower. A soldier is looking through the cold lens of a rifle scope, and right there, perfectly centered in the crosshairs, is a small, barefoot boy carefully pushing his arm through the sharp wires to reach his fallen kite.
And then, abruptly, without any warning at all, that profound silence is violently broken. A single gunshot shatters the air. Birds explode into the sky. The little boy's body jerks, and the colorful kite just slips from his outstretched fingers. That's the moment. Childhood joy and cold military reality have finally, tragically collided.
Now, shifting focus back to the mud house, we can actually track the mother's sheer physiological terror step by step. First, she hears that distant echo, and the knife literally falls from her trembling hand. She screams out toward the fields, no answer.
Consumed by blind terror, she runs toward the border, kicking up dust with every step. And when she finally arrives, she finds her daughter. Not crying, just standing motionless by the fence with empty eyes like a silent ghost.
We just have to impartially observe the devastating visual aftermath the author paints here. On the other side of the border, that colorful kite rests quietly in the dirt, but above the sharp barbed wires, her son's lifeless body hangs motionless against the fence. The mother collapses. There's no scream, no words that survive that moment, just shattered breathing beneath an endless sky. It is the ultimate, tragic collision of the colorful kite and the unfeeling wire.
Notice how silence returns to the scene, almost acting as the central antagonist of the story. It entirely swallows the family's grief. The little girl stands mute, tears rolling down her dusty cheeks, her childhood effectively erased forever. And the border itself, terrifyingly indifferent. No soldier comes down from the watchtower, no apology or explanation is ever given. There is only the sound of the cold wind moving through rusted wires. It's a monument to utter insignificance.
We slow the narrative down again as evening arrives. The hard-working father is walking home, carrying his old tools across his shoulders. He is completely unaware that his entire world has just been destroyed. But from a distance, he notices a crowd gathered near the fence. You can imagine the fear entering his heart before the truth even reaches his eyes. And when he arrives at the scene, the heartbreak is just absolute.
This brings us full circle to the title of our explainer. The father falls to his knees in the dirt. His trembling hands reach out and pick up that torn, colorful kite. Think about it. Just hours earlier, that exact same piece of paper had carried his son's bright laughter up into the sky. But now, as he holds it in his rough hands, it feels heavier than the entire world. The once joyful toy now physically holds the agonizing weight of his son's lost life.
As night finally covers the borderlands, leaving that torn kite trapped under the cold floodlights, the author leaves us with this heavy, unforgettable summary. A child died for crossing a line he was entirely too young to understand. A line drawn by humans, paid for by innocence. It really drives home the point that these scars dividing humanity might be artificial constructs, but the human toll they extract is incredibly permanent.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. What happens to our shared humanity when the lines we draw cost us our innocence? We've seen how the rigid, unforgiving boundaries of the adult world extinguish the pure, vibrant joy of childhood today. I really encourage you to reflect on the stark visual contrast we unpacked here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.